Good Tuesday evening. Welcome to another edition of the Sideline Junkies Tuesday Night Flight. It's me, it's the big guy KG, taking the mothership out for a spin. We're going to burn all the gas out of it right about now because James is going to be away for homecoming. I don't know where Don is, so we better burn all the gas we can right now. Got the man that pays all the bills, the boss, BJ, the aficionado of everything. Because I ain't never met a dude that dabbles in everything, you know, from baseball to basketball to women's basketball to Midnight Rider. Gentlemen, how y'all feeling tonight?
Good, man. Good.
That's good.
My feet hurt. You ain't waiting for me to respond. My feet hurt.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, okay, we're gonna get him some Epsom salt and take care of them feet. Did a lot of walking today. But hey, we got our steps in today. I can say that. I think we did 10,000 steps or more.
10,000?
I think so. I have to look. But let's jump into this thing. Off the break, Steve Nash fired. I called this when he was hired. I'm not going to say, hey, I'm happy he got fired. I'm not saying nothing of the sort because I'm not happy he got fired. He should have never got the job because there were other qualified coaches. Now they're talking about getting Emi Udoka from Boston as their head coach. So go around the room, start with you, BJ, and then we'll go to the Midnight Ride and I will finish this thing up. So what you got?
Not much. He should have never been hired. We talked about that when he got hired. Like you said, I'm echoing exactly what you said. Was way more qualified guys to get that job for that. For him to walk into that job with top 3 player, one of the top point guards, just a head scratching move for Brooklyn. But on the flip side, Emi Udoka, like that. Boston's loss will be Brooklyn's game. That is going to be, if they grab him, it's going to be a game changer, man. I think he can really get that team going and turn them around. So, is it official yet?
No. They're talking about yet? 24 to 48 hours. I think it's still some stuff that has to go on for that to happen.
And before I give it to Midnight Rider in that Emi Udoka situation, his situation should have never escalated to what it was now. I think Boston gravely overreacted, and there's no repairing that situation. And we don't know, every little nook and cranny, but the situation, I don't think you want to see him walking through the office, in light of what happened and who he was allegedly sleeping with. So that would never work again. So I think Brooklyn's about to be on the come up, gentlemen. What you got, Midnight Rider?
I'm kind of concerned on this one because I'm trying to figure out if the Celtics own enough of Emi Udoka's rights because of the suspension, because he is still in the contract, if there has to be some kind of compensation for this move. I don't think it has to be because the league didn't suspend him. So since it's a personal thing, I think that's the one thing that gives the Nets a route to this. I know Woj said it, something about 24 to 48 hours before it's finalized. I think if the Nets do their homework, I'm not sure how this is going to play out because depending on the allegations, you also have to be concerned about what other things are in the background laying the weeds. So I wonder about that, but I do think Ime has enough cachet as a coach that KG and company will actually listen to him. Whereas before, when Steve Nash was hired, I think they even made the statement like, oh, we could coach ourselves. And I think they tried to. And I think that's what hurt this transaction more than anything else in the world. KG?
Well, I'll say this. This was the third season for Steve Nash. First season, 48-24, second in the Atlantic. Last season, 44-38, fourth in the Atlantic. This year, 2-5 overall. He was fired early into the season, which is odd, but I guess you want to right the ship. His overall coaching career, 94-67. Went to the playoffs each year he's coached. They were swept last year. Year before, what they lost in the conference semifinals. So he wasn't getting the most out of that roster. And I said that Nets roster was kind of, top heavy. You had KD, you had Kyrie, you had Harden, and you couldn't win because when they didn't have those guys, you had Karis LeVert as your dog, and they were one of the favorite teams. And you come in with these superstars and you can't do anything. It says a lot. So, will Steve? Let me ask this real quick before we get out of here. Quickly, will Steve Nash get another head coaching job?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just hope and pray it's not in Chicago. So,
nah, it'll be somewhere in the middle of the country where he can kind of live off the Steve Nash legacy and coach the team, and then hopefully he'll get something that fits him better. Because I just didn't think that team fit him at all.
I agree. It doesn't seem like Brooklyn period fit him. It's
Right.
He's a middle America. He's a Memphis guy. Dare I say it? Dallas, Suns. Maybe
Right.
even Toronto. He that's where he could coach at, and I think he would flourish because it's more of his scene,
Isn't
not
he
on his
Canadian?
coaching ability.
Isn't he Canadian or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, he's South African, but he has Canadian. Okay. He's born in Johannesburg, but he's has Canadian citizenship.
Right, and he came to the league via Santa Clara.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
So next up on the docket, myself and the Midnight Rider, our Washington Commanders win yesterday 17-16 over the Colts. Pretty impressive, if I do say so myself, because this team looks different when they rally around Taylor Heineke. It's a lot of fans. I won't name them because this is their opinion. They were very critical of Heineke during that game, but when he pulled it out, they were singing his praises. And it seems to be like that an awful lot. It was like that when he was a starter. Man, we need a better quarterback. We need somebody better than Heineke. Go get somebody better than Heineke, and where they at. I mean, he's on the bench now, but he was 2-4 as a starter. Heineke has won 2 straight games. Overall, the team has won 3. Just thoughts on the game from yesterday, gentlemen. DJ?
Look, man, I'm riding the Taylor Heineke train. Yeah, we say it every week. He's not the most talented guy, but he makes plays, makes things happen. And right now, no quarterback trade was made, before the deadline. So that's who you got to ride out. And I said last year, I don't think you'll see Carson Wentz back. If he keeps winning, it's no way you could put Carson Wentz back in there and disrupt that. I mean, I would just keep riding the hot hand. I feel like they're still not taking advantage of his strengths. I really do. I don't feel like that. I feel like they're just like, here, this is what we want to run, and this is what you're going to run, instead of, all right, we're going to take advantage of things you do well. I still don't see that, and I blame that on Scott Turner and Ron Rivera. So a W is a W, no matter how ugly it is. McLaurin comes up big once again. Ride the hot hand, man. Ride the hot hand until the wheels fall off of you. You can keep getting W's, and hopefully, as a Commanders fan, you're just hoping week by week it gets better a little bit. The offense moves a little smoother every week. Heineke can get his legs and get a rhythm, and then you can just go from there and just, ride it, man.
I've seen this show before. I've watched this movie. His name could be, if you're at Notre Dame, it's Ian Book. If it's University of Florida, it's Tim Tebow. If it's the Denver Broncos, it's Tim Tebow. If it's the Washington Redskins, it's Todd Collins. I've seen, if it's Notre Dame again, it's Carlisle Holiday. I've seen this story before where the defense, like for 55 minutes, for 58 minutes, whatever it is, the offense doesn't really contribute. The defense keeps you in the ball game. And I only wonder, you know who else? Alex Smith. Alex Smith in Kansas City, San Francisco, and Washington. All of these things that I see, they win. And I give them credit for that. But when you go against the echelon, that upper tier, where they don't make the mistakes and kill themselves, that's when they struggle. And I think the good thing for this stretch is you face Justin Fields and the team that struggled in Chicago. You faced the Colts, who are struggling. And then you face Green Bay, who I don't even know if Green Bay knows that they're Green Bay. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers looks in the mirror and knows he's Aaron Rodgers. And he gotta talk to that man in the mirror to figure it out and get the truth. And stop doing whatever that little drug is that he was doing during the summer. He might be still hallucinating. I don't know. So a win is a win. I'm happy for the win. I'm nervous about the going forward because the next 2 weeks we could be sitting here at 4-6, and then everybody's trying to figure out what this team is. But then you get the schedule coming back to you the next 3 weeks where you get Atlanta and company. So it's almost where I think this schedule might lend itself that it's gonna be a roller coaster. You have some ups and downs, and I think the next two are struggles. And then if you can still win those two, it's great. But if you can't, I think you're in the position that I thought we were going to be in before this. KG? I saw the faces.
When you say Carlisle Holiday, special place right here.
Dude, do you know that team, they led the country in turnover ratio that year.
We weren't very good.
They weren't a good team. They just didn't make mistakes, and they capitalized on all mistakes. And that was the difference. That's why this Heineke thing just doesn't – I'm just not comfortable with it. Like, I can see it in short doses, but I just can't see it. Go ahead.
Can I step in? I tell y'all this all the time. I watched this for 20 years, the same show, every Sunday. A dominant defense and a Buffalo offense that couldn't move a push lawnmower 10 yards. But the defense was so that, and I dare to say it now because I don't want to jinx us, that those Buffalo defenses, that London Fletcher led, those were Super Bowl defenses. Those were Super Bowl defenses. If you had we didn't have a Taylor Heineke. We had J.P. Lossman, Trent Edwards,
Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Ryan Fitzpatrick. Kyle wasn't actually bad. He almost got us to the playoffs that year before he retired. I have seen this over and over. The difference is that offense did not have a guy that they rallied behind and loved. It was non-existent. They were just out there going through the motions. The difference with the Commanders team I see is that even with the offense struggling, I think those guys feel like Taylor can pull something. The rabbit, he has it. If they're close, he can pull the rabbit out of the hat. The rabbit might be dead when he pull it out the hat, or the legs are missing, but he can pull it out of the hat and give you a chance to win. And that's all you can ask for. All you can ask for right now is, because look, this offense was, even with Carson Wentz's stats, this offense was bad, right? And with Wentz back there, it's like, did you really feel like as a Commander fan you had a chance to win? It's like now with Heineke in it, as anemic as that offense is at times, when that last drive is going, you like, all right, let's do it. Like, you have that feeling like you might have a chance. Where I didn't feel like that with Carson Wentz. I felt like, all right, something's going to happen where this ball is probably going the other way for a pick six. Heineke gives you that, and I get what the Midnight Rider is saying. It's just like the ceiling is you're probably at the ceiling. You probably got like 2 or 3 more inches to hit the ceiling. But I think with Ron Rivera and Scott Turner, they're still not utilizing him to what he can do. Why are we not seeing more RPO? Why are we not seeing him scramble more? Why? That would change the dynamic of the opposing defenses coming in. They have to plan for that. We're looking at Josh Allen do it. We're looking at Lamar do it. Tua does it at times. All these quarters, Justin Fields, Hurts. You have to plan. It changes it opens the defense up. They showed the Buffalo highlight last night with Green Bay. They came out with 4 or 5 wide receivers, and Green Bay had to cover them. The middle of the field was wide open. Josh could have ran 15, 20 yards. That is what you open up. You put 4 or 5 wide receivers out, let them run. Now they got to address that, and they're not doing that. It's so frustrating watching this. And it's like simple little things. It's like Scott Turner is turning into Al Saunders. Here go my 1,100 play playbook, and you're going to run it to a T. I don't care what you do well. This is what I do, and this is what we're going to run. And it's sickening to see. Like, I feel like the Commanders' offense could be so much more. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be elite. They're not going to move the ball like Kansas City or Buffalo, but they could be way more effective than what they are right now. And it's frustrating, to say the least.
Well, let me say 2 things. Number one, if I had to compare him to a quarterback, it would be Shane Falco.
The replacements.
Yes, because what does Shane Falco have that you couldn't measure? Heart. Heineke has more heart, and you cannot measure that. Heart. He plays with more heart and more passion, and just the way he leads this team, it's a different team when he's under center. It may not be glamorous and glitzy what everybody in this fan base wants, but damn it, if it's producing wins, shut the hell up and ride the wave. Like, really, man, let's just ride the wave and leave it alone. Like, you want him to be Patrick Mahomes, you want him to be Josh Allen, you want him to be all these quarterbacks that he's not. Let him be Taylor. That's it.
But what were you promised?
Huh?
What were you promised? You were promised this offseason that they were going to figure out this quarterback situation.
And we didn't. When we traded for Wentz, did I like it? No. Statistically, this team should be 7-1. At worst, 7-1. With statistically looking at Wentz and how he's passing, you would think this is a 7-1 team. But obviously his stats, his personal stats aren't translating to wins. So, I mean, that's just my opinion. But you know I gotta do it. So Midnight Rider not gonna be too happy with me, but you know what they say, left hand up. Left hand up. Come on, put your left hand up there. Go ahead, put your left hand up. Ooh-wee. Commanders. Look, I gotta do it because it's like when I do that the next week, if I do it on Sunday, we win. So come on now. Don't be like that, BJ. Now, sticking with the NFL, we had some moves today, and one of them was made in Washington. They called him the estranged cornerback. William Jackson was moved over to Pittsburgh. And I'll throw this to the Midnight Rider because he has everything to run down. So Midnight Rider, take it away with that trade talk.
So the biggest one you just talked about for Washington was William Jackson being traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it was William Jackson and a 2025 7th round pick going to Pittsburgh for a 6th round pick in 2025. Now, the reason 2025 is important is because that's the furthest out a team can go when making a deal. This deal was a sign of just they wanted to get rid of him, but they knew they had to. If you make the trade with him, you can save yourself on the cap. If you just outright release him, you still sit on that cap money. So I think that was the key to making them want to make a deal. And like Pittsburgh was just like, we'll take him, but I think we just twisted their arm enough to, get them to make the deal. That probably was one of the smaller deals on the day. One of the bigger ones, or one of the more surprising ones, I guess the most surprising one to me, was the Jacksonville Jaguars acquiring Calvin Ridley from the Falcons. I'll get the conversation later, but just the fact that that deal was made says a lot. It tells me that Jacksonville is trying to make a move ahead of time. Instead of drafting the kid, they'll have somebody that is NFL ready, and they can figure it out, because I think they have a crazy escalator in his deal where I think it's for a fourth in 2024. Then based on playing time and his options, it could get as high as a second. So that's the most surprising deal to me of the day. Tied for the most impactful move, Minnesota Vikings trading for TJ Hawkinson from the Detroit Lions. I think that gives them the perfect element in this offense that they're missing. I think they're starting to realize that AJ Thielen is kind of on his last leg, so they need something else to go with Justin Jefferson. And yes, I'll say it again for you. I think Thielen's on his last legs.
Well, look. Thielen don't need to be on his last legs to the end of the season. I got him in fantasy. I'm trying to.
Well, I'm sorry, man. It just doesn't look the same.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. I agree.
Because I just think there are situations where normally they would go to him, but now because of the way they run their offense, it's more Justin Jefferson heavy, which isn't a bad thing. The other big move was Miami acquiring Bradley Chubb from the Denver Broncos. Miami, I think, feels like they're in the mix. And all Miami does on offense is they'll run the ball once. They'll throw one ball to Hill, one ball to Waddle. They might run the ball again. They throw one ball to Waddle, one ball to Hill. And with the two fastest wide receivers in the league, why not get them as main targets, and why not make them the focus of your thing? The one trade I really didn't like, it's going to hurt you a little bit, KG, because he's a Golden Domer. But Claypool going to the Bears, I didn't get the conversation right away. I thought Chicago, if anything, they would have moved the Ravens pick, and there may be like NFL rules based around that I don't know. So that might be the reason why they couldn't trade that pick. But I would rather trade that than my second, because I think my second, if I don't finish out the season well, my second will be higher than the one that the Ravens give me. So that's the only reason on that deal. And I didn't think he was worth it too, but we're not behind the scenes. It really simply could be Green Bay, somebody else being in the mix, and they wanted to give up 3, and the 2 was the place that you had to go to make the deal work. I think it helps Justin Fields out a lot, gives him a guy that can stretch the field, gives him actually a big receiver that can stretch the field, and maybe you can do some underneath stuff with Mooney. So now you have N'Keal Harry on the outside with Claypool, and maybe you run Mooney in the slot. So that's really just kind of the short version of the day. I mean, this was probably the busiest NFL trade deadline that I've ever seen. And I think this is because of Sean McVay and company. Sean McVay and company have showed the league that stop worrying about tomorrow. This is a today league. And if you win today, ain't nobody going to worry about those damn draft picks that you gave up to get to here. So that's it.
And then on top of that, once you get these players, you win your Super Bowl, you can sell them off and get your picks back, because it's always going to be 5 to 6 contending teams, and somebody that needs a pass rusher, somebody that needs a left tackle, a running back, something, right? To go back on the William Jackson, I heard Ron Rivera at the press conference saying they made a bad evaluation. He was a man corner, and they made a bad evaluation. It's just, and you just listen to that, and it's just like, dude, are you serious? Are you serious?
I heard that differently. And I heard that from the standpoint. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, you good. I just don't understand. That's, for me to hear that, that's embarrassing. You didn't know what this dude was when you went and got this dude. You didn't know what he played. That's like Landon Collins. It's the same situation. You didn't know this dude was an in-the-box safety, and you got him covering the field. I don't get the Commanders. Like, it's certain things that just make themselves look silly daily, damn near. It's like spin the wheel. What are we gonna do today? Let's put our foot on our mouths. Let's say we didn't know this dude's style of play before we committed to him. I don't get that. I don't get it at all. Claypool, he's in the same boat as Juju. They're not number one receivers. They're good receivers. They're good complement receivers if you got a real number one on your team. All right. And Pittsburgh, I wish Jim was on here. Pittsburgh is one of them organizations. They don't like flashy. They don't like a lot of mouth. That's not how they operate. Play ball, put your head down, get your lunch pail. That's what Pittsburgh does. All this talking and back and forth, they don't do all that. So, guys like that become expendable, especially when you're not producing on the field, right? What was the other trade? The Detroit trade. Detroit doing Detroit things. Well, who trades in the division?
Detroit understands where they are right now. And see, you guys talk about this. Think about this. When you talk Bradley Beal, when you talk Wizards, you talk about burn the house down, get the assets you can get, right? That's what Detroit just did. Detroit just said, all right, we're not a contender. Why keep this top tier tight end on my team when I can get something for him? So that's kind of they're doing exactly what they should be doing. You're 2-6, or maybe you're 1-5, whatever it is. 2-6, 1-6, you stink. You can't stop nobody. Somehow you fire your defensive backs coach, which doesn't make sense. And I feel bad for that guy because that guy 4 years ago should have been a D coordinator somewhere, but that's a whole other story. Talking about Audrey Pleasant. But it's just they did the move that they should have made. Trade your best asset, get the most you can for them, and keep it moving. You can find a tight end. The way these tight ends are coming out now, tight end and wide receiver the next 5 years is probably the easiest position to replace. And the reason that Claypool is out of Pittsburgh is George Pickens. And if Pickens was healthy last year, Pickens would have been in that conversation when you had Garrett Wilson, Olave, Jameson Williams. That's where Pickens would have been. And the only knock on Pickens would have been his attitude. And so far, from what I'm seeing from him, he hasn't been a dum-dum. So he's actually playing good ball. So that's another reason why Chase Claypool was easy to get rid of. And Pittsburgh is wide receiver factory. You get drafted there, somehow you turn out and you play well. You get a second deal somewhere else, or you go somewhere and flop because it's not the same trend that you had in Pittsburgh.
And linebackers.
Yeah, receivers and linebackers. Pittsburgh is famous for. Now you said something about this being a today league, and I had to laugh because I just had a conversation with my youngest son about being a tomorrow person. You can't be a today person. You have to be a tomorrow person. That's a quote from Chuck Noll. Tomorrow people think about the future. They think about what's going to happen beyond today. Today people think about the moment, and then they don't think about the consequences and the repercussions of their actions today. Tomorrow right. People think about all of that. And it made me laugh because I'm like, damn, how do we go from being tomorrow people to now this is a today league? So you have to be a today person. You have to worry about today right now in this moment. And
there's only 14 teams that are in that mix.
Yeah,
there's the 7 that are the top 7, the contenders, and then there's the bottom 7. So if you're in the bottom 7, your today is all right. I know I stink. Let's realize it, and let's acquire as many picks as we can to build this up. And if you're in the top 7, you're like, I got to win now because it's not promised.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. I mean, look at Cincinnati right now. Cincinnati's struggling. They're 4-4. Chase is out for a couple of weeks. Can they get back? Can they hold on? You know, I mean, the bad thing for the Commanders is we all play the same teams. Dallas, New York, and Philly all played the NFC Central and the AFC South. So when it comes to those games, you're losing because they're playing bad teams the same time you're playing bad teams. So can you make up the ground? And I think today was one of those situations in a different world. Maybe they take a different direction if they're led by a real GM. But because you keep doing these coach-centric situations, it's a problem. And then the other thing that B said that really stuck out was, you know, when he was talking about Ron Rivera and the whole thing, and he was talking about, well, I appreciate them saying they made a mistake because at least you honest about it because you know you made a mistake. One thing y'all gotta find, there's a joint with Pac-Man Jones on like Grant and Danny from the end of last month where Pac-Man Jones goes in on Adam Jones and on William Jackson. And he also got that video that went viral with him talking about him being in the barbecue pit. So William Jackson got some issues, and I think it's just a mistake. And once you realize you make a mistake, cut bait and figure it out.
Okie dokie. Now, this right here, this next segment, been a while since we pulled it out, but here goes. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, I got beef. Now, this was brought to my attention by the boss, BJ. I don't think the Midnight Rider is going to be too happy with me after I do this, but I'm going to say it. So if you have children in the room, please ask them to leave because it's about to get ugly in here. Now, this goes out to the 17-time world champion Los Angeles Lakers. What kind of fraganagle bullshit is that you celebrate your coach's first win with dousing him with Gatorade like y'all just won a division? When do we start celebrating mediocrity? LeBron? AD, when do we start celebrating mediocrity? You are 1-5 and you're celebrating like you just won a division. Is that Pat Beverly shit rubbing off on y'all? Because that's not what it's supposed to be. We don't celebrate one win after you lost 5 straight. We don't celebrate winning a playing game, crying and jumping up on stands and tables and stuff. That's not what you do. This is the participation trophy era of sports. And I never thought a LeBron-led team would do some bullshit like this. Yeah, I got beef with that. Because one thing you don't do, yes, Darvin Ham got his first win. Great. Do that behind closed doors. There should be no cameras in there. Nobody should see you make a fool of yourself because that's exactly what you did, LA. You made a fools of yourselves. How about you win 5, 6 games in a row? Hey, try to win 2 games in a row. Because if you put one win together with another win, that means you have 2 wins. That means you're on a win streak. Okay? Try to equal the success that came before you of some of the great teams and show that you actually got something going on. Celebrating with dousing water and all that because of one win? One? Like, I felt so much secondhand embarrassment watching that video. I felt it was cringeworthy. I threw up in my mouth a little bit. I never seen anybody celebrate mediocrity like that. When did we become that as a sport? When did we become that as LeBron James and Anthony Davis as superstars? Y'all celebrating it? Nah, man. Cut all that. Okay, we got one. Let's go for another one.
Manhood issue, baby.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is a manhood because they ain't got no hero. They got nothing. But this is what you do. You celebrate mediocrity like that, you're never going to win. What you going to do when you're 9-73? What are you going to do then? You going to celebrate that too when you win number 9? You're going to be like it was in 80 when San Francisco won their second game of the season. They tore down the goalpost out of Candlestick. And it was so loud in the stadium, Randy Cross, like it was so loud we couldn't hear the rest of the world laughing at us. How do you celebrate something like that? See, you got Alexa, play The Whole Town's Laughing at Me by Teddy Pendergrass, please. Because the whole town is laughing at you. Right now, the whole town is laughing at you because you want to celebrate one win. There should be no celebration until you're in the NBA Finals and you clinch it and you bring Larry O'Brien trophy home. Okay, I'm done.
So you can't celebrate your coach's first win?
Not like that.
Okay.
That's a celebration like, oh, we just won the division after a hard fought race to win the division. Yeah, that's when you like, yeah, okay. Now it's time for the real shit to go on. But it's happy that we fought for this. You got one win. One. And this team was supposed to be a damn powerhouse this year, just like
Win. Whoa.
Oh yeah, stop that. Oh
Whoa, whoa.
Look,
Hold on.
Go back. No. Go back.
This is shooters league, right?
Huh?
This is a shooters league, right?
I get that. And then
no. Hold on. I'm gonna help you out.
No. Because it's not me saying they was gonna be a powerhouse. This is what people were saying.
In a shooters league, you lead the league in create off the dribble guys in a shooters league. And then all the guys you talk about are guys that create off the dribble. But let's go get Terry Rozier. He creates off the dribble. He can't shoot.
Like I said, they called them a powerhouse. Oh, the Lakers gonna be the favorite this year.
They couldn't.
I said, how?
Man, you should stop listening to him. You should have turned the channel.
Look at the preseason stuff. Oh, man, go look at Instagram.
When we talk about the Lakers, I said that they be lucky if they make the plan.
We're realistic.
If they make the plan.
We're realistic.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The Lakers get the same coverage like the Cowboys, and so all their business. But I don't recall anybody. I know everybody was saying the Clippers were better than them. The Clippers were going to manhandle them. I thought their ceiling was the 7th seed, and then
I didn't think that was that high.
And then getting expeditiously put out in the first round. I thought that was
playing game.
Yeah,
I call playing.
Yeah,
and it's hard to say that about a LeBron-led team. But here's the thing, and everybody says, "Oh well, the GM did this," and the GM. When is Rob Pelinka going to take some of that blame?
Whoa, because Rob Pelinka ain't the GM.
What is he?
GM and title alone. There's one person that's doing these pickups or asking for these players.
So you blaming LeBron too?
I'm not blaming LeBron. I just think we're dumb. I think we've done the dumbest in the year that you can actually be in a position that you might be in a lottery. Your pick for this year is an unprotected swap. I'm gonna say that again. It's an unprotected swap. So that's where Rob Pelinka gets the issue or the problem or the blame. It's because you sent a pick, and you probably thought we win a championship, so we're not gonna worry about it. But you always gotta. In this situation, he should have been a tomorrow guy instead of a today guy, and that pick should have been protected.
You know what? For everything that Rob Pelinka is, I still got beef with him for what he did with the Magic, because I think it was him. It was because of him that Magic's exit got hastened the way it was. It was, and I don't know that I can't remember the story, but I know he had some dealings in it, and I didn't like how Magic was unceremoniously ousted from the Lakers organization. This is an organization that he helped continue the legacy. He was a part of Showtime, and the moves that he made and the knowledge that he had should have been passed on. It's like when Big John would come back to Georgetown. He had a role, he had a hand in everything. Some way they had to call him and ask for advice always. Same thing with
might be the problem they have now.
Because they don't have nobody to call. You alienating everybody.
No. I think the problem is you relied on Big John too much that you didn't develop that next group, those next thinkers. So now Georgetown's going to struggle. I don't know what they are this year. I haven't watched enough basketball.
We lost a lot of players last year.
And if it's ugly this year, I mean,
I don't think they're not letting Pat go.
They got to. That's what they have to do. That's the problem. They have to. At some point, you have to cut the umbilical cord to Big John and actually become a program that exists outside of the Big John shadow.
You don't do that.
What Midnight
you keep
Rider
it in the family.
What Midnight Rider just said is the same thing, and I know this ain't this show, but it's the same thing that WWE is going through. They relied on a handful of people, and they did not develop the lower half of the roster. Hell, they didn't develop the latter 85% of the roster, and now you have people that You got bad wrestling, bad mic skills, and you have a few people that are worth watching, but 85% of the program is bad. It's garbage.
When's the last time you watched?
WWE?
Yeah.
I don't watch the show, but I watch the highlights.
Okay.
Oh, it's gotten way better since Triple H took over.
I was about to say, I think if you watch this version now, I think what they've done is they've taken the lags out. Like with Vince, there's always like this lag, and then the matches weren't intense, they weren't quick, they weren't concise. And I think the one thing that Triple H has done is he's kind of added that immediacy, that urgency in each event. And then I think the other thing is just the work that Sami Zayn is doing right now is probably some of the best work you'll see. And I know the only person that's going to be a detriment for is Kevin Owens, because whatever program they had, this success of the honorary Uso and
Sammy Uso.
Yeah, Sammy Uso. I think that's going to just push out for another 4 to 6 months. So it's going to be a thing, and it's probably going to last until the Rumble at least.
But I will say this: when it comes to Georgetown, I don't think Patrick Ewing has got the entire recruiting class, because remember, he had a good recruiting class the first year, but he lost a lot of those guys because they wound up getting kicked off the team. I can't think of the other cat. I don't know. It was McClung and it was 2 other cats. They got kicked off the team.
The kid that ended up at like Arizona. I know you're talking about.
They wound up transferring out, and they were 2 of the top schools. But I heard he broke team rules. I heard all of them broke team rules, and he sat them, and they were upset that they got set. But if you break a rule, you gotta suffer the consequences. But I don't think
you gotta modernize some. No, yeah. I just think I think there's a part of Pat that's still old school. Like the infamous clip of the kid that shot the 3-pointer, and like he's like yelling in his face, like, when do you practice that? When do you take that shot any other time? So why take that shot now if you don't shoot that in practice? I
agree with that.
I wholeheartedly agree. I just think some of that old school mentality just isn't going to rub this generation the right way. And that's the reason I say I think like you may have to get somebody else in besides Pat, because that message falls on deaf ears.
Yeah, because here's the problem. You can't be in sports, period. Don't matter what sport it is, you can't be soft-hearted as a player. You got to be open to criticism. You have to, especially if it's constructive. It's not like I'm not saying beat a player down to the point that he don't feel confident in himself, but no, look, you didn't practice that. Why take that shot? That's like when you're in practice. You don't practice shots that you're not going to take in a game. You don't practice throws. You don't practice catches that you're not going to try. You're not able to make in a game. You don't practice things you're not going to do in a game. You practice for the game. But you sitting there practicing, you 7'4", and you supposed to be back to the basket and you shooting threes. Bro, come sit beside me. That's just my opinion, though. But these kids sometimes are so soft-hearted. And it's like they can't understand. Yes, I have to show you tough love because I can't coddle you because the world's not going to coddle you. You have to know, yes, you can come to me. Yes, I can talk to you. We can have that. But when you mess up, I'm going to let you know you messed up. I'm not going, oh, come on, don't worry about it. We'll get them next time. No. What are you doing? What was your thought process right there? What was your problem? What were you thinking when you took that shot? Is that a part of the game plan? Is that a part of your game? No, it's not. Come have a seat. Think about what you did. But I grew up in a different era. My era was way more rougher when it came to coaching. BJ, you know it. And Midnight Rider, you know it. It was way more rougher when it came to this era. I mean, but I digress because we're going off on a tangent. We'll have to talk about this Georgetown thing later, but we'll stick a pin in that. Midnight Rider, I saw you put something up about the Wizards and DeLon Wright out for the Wizards hamstring.
Yeah, he's supposed to be out for the next 6 to 8 weeks. with a hamstring injury. I think that hurt some of their. I think they felt it the last two games that they dropped. And the reason I say that is because I think he was their defensive guy. He was kind of their glue guy, for lack of a better term, this early. And I think the Wizards have an indictment on them when you lose a player. You have, I think, 4 first-round picks: Rui, Kispert, Johnny. I can't think of Johnny's last name. And what's the other guy that you just drafted? You drafted one other player. Oh, Rui Hachimura. I mean, not Rui, but Denny Avila. When you have 4 first-round picks, and yet you decide to start a kid named Anthony Gill over them, that gives me a moment for pause with this ball club, and it makes me wonder. I know Shepard has done a good job in getting some of this together, but I don't know where the player development is, and that's the part that bothers me right now. Is what are we developing? What are we becoming? And when I say we, I mean the Wizards as a team, because they're not my team, but just what is the program about? You know what I'm saying?
And it's been like that for forever. And you see it if you look at the last couple championships. Well, not last couple, but if you look back at championships, there have been Wizards that have been big parts of these championships, from Caron Butler to Brendan Haywood to JaVale McGee. All these got Nick Young. All these guys got championships. I don't know what it is with the Wizards. I can't put a pin on it. I don't know. I think that, and I always go back to the 2000s Buffalo Bills. They're one of these teams now where they have to reach for stuff. Nobody wants to go there. They're not going to draw no big name free agents. I feel like they reach in the draft a little bit. I forgot the kid they just drafted this past draft. I was actually happy with that pick.
Johnny Davis, that's his name.
Yeah, Davis. I was actually happy with that pick, but I felt like with Rue and Denny, I felt like they reached. That's one of them drafts where I trade the pick and move on to next year. Stockpile some picks, and then that's when you see if you can get one of them top 3 guys. Wizards got a long way to go. I know, we coming to the end of the show, and we could talk Wizards for an hour, but I just don't see, as a Wizards fan, and I haven't watched the game this year. I'm not even going to sit here in front, but I just don't see this team being any better than a 6 seed, 6, 7 seed. Maybe doing enough to not being in a playing game, maybe, but player development has been an issue with this team the last 20 years. It just is what it is, unfortunately.
Well, I'm gonna say this before the Midnight Rider take over. Hi, Meatloaf. The boss BJ will not take any more of my lunch money this season, so no 50-win prediction, no none of that. I am not saying anything about the Wizards. Have at it. That's my announcement.
How do you make a all right? How do you make a bet 50 wins when this team hasn't done?
No.
78, 77.
No. What was it? 50 or 60 wins? Hold on. Which one was it? 60 wins? No, it was 55. 50. No, it was. I said they were going to win 55 because the year before they won 49. This is a couple years ago. This is when we first started. When we first started,
it's hustling you, man.
And I was like, okay, this team. It was John Wall, Bradley. I mean, they were balling. They were in the playoffs. And I was like, the thing is, they're going to make the playoffs. I said, this is going to be a 50-win team. And they 2 games short. No, it was 2 or 3 games short, 2 years in a row. I was like, sons of bitches.
You ever seen LeBron still?
Yeah.
You know who Eddie Mush is? That's who you sound like when you make this 50-game win bet. Sound like Eddie Mush, man.
Because I had faith in this team with John and Brad. They had Gortat. I mean, it was just, I didn't think they were going to go really, really far. I was like, this team is at least Eastern Conference Finals and lose to, at the time it was Cleveland. I was like, they'll lose to Cleveland. or they'll lose to Cleveland in the semifinals. But it just never happened. And I was like, okay, y'all got the talent. They would lose these close games down the stretch when I just knew. I was like, oh, they got 10 games left. They can win 3 out of 10. I know they can. And then they wind up losing all 10. And I'm like, oh my God. But I'm not making that type of bet because I don't feel that way about this roster the way I used to, where I was like, this team has so much talent and should be doing so much more. You should just be building. And we always talked about with Ernie Grunfeld, we always talked about how he kept his job. And that was that blockbuster trade at the deadline. He would always pull off a trade and it would get management off his back. And that's how he kept his job. Now, Tommy Shepard has had to fix all of that. And I think he's done a good job with the scraps that he's been handed, via free agency and trying to pick up draft picks and everything. But this team, in order for them to win, they're going to have to build through the draft and they're going to have to get middle to lower tier free agents to fill out the roster because nobody, like BJ said, nobody wants to come here. This used to be the town where you came in and you got your money and, you partied at DC Live after the game. I mean, Andre Blatch fell into that. Partying at DC Live and drinking and not working on your game because, you pick up your check on Tuesday. That stigma is still live and front face in DC, and it has to stop. This used to be a winning town. It has to go back to being a winning town so people want to come here in every sport. So just my 2 cents.
I think the biggest issue this team has had is with their picks. They've settled for the guy that's going to be okay or be good. So every time I saw Rui at Gonzaga, I always thought this guy was going to be pretty good. He's not going to be a superstar, but if you can get him as your 4th or 5th option on the NBA team, he'll probably give you 10 rebounds, may give you 10 points. That's about it. When I saw Kispert, I just saw a shooter, but I don't know what the upside of him is. Johnny Davis, I just see a really good ball player. And then I saw picks like the kid Tyrese Halliburton that was taken after Hachimura, and I thought Halliburton was the better pick for them. I had him higher on just one of the things that I was looking at, and I felt like his upside. Like I think sometimes because of the young Veselis of this world, because of the Kwames, some of the picks that they took in the past, I think they're almost scared of taking that risk. Think about Otto Porter. Otto Porter was just a very good guy. But I never saw a superstar. I never saw anything that made me think that Otto Porter was going to be that piece to a puzzle. And the bad thing was he was the best of what was in that at that point in that draft. If you're going to be honest with yourself, and that's why I hate sometimes when people go back and redraft, because if you're honest in a moment, sometimes these drafts play out the way they're supposed to play out, and all this going back after the fact is just, to me, is garbage. So it's not I told you so, but I felt better about Halliburton than I did Hachimura, and I just think sometimes they don't go with that guy that has the higher ceiling. They go low ceiling, low floor. I mean, low ceiling, higher floor, as opposed to a higher ceiling, lower floor.
And I think they're scared of missing the next great foreign superstar too. And I think that's why you see Rue and Denny drafted where they were. They're so scared of passing that pick, and then they go off to be franchise cornerstones. They're looking for the next Giannis. They're looking for, the next whoever. And they like I said, they've reached the last couple drafts, and not last draft. The jury's still out, but the couple before that, I just would have traded the picks. I'd have traded down, got somebody that you could have drafted, put in the G League, and just start over. Because we all know you're not changing your franchise unless you got possibly a top 3 pick, top 3 to top 5, depending on the year. Anything other than that, you're just adding to your team, hoping you strike gold with a good player, down the line. But this team, as far as talent evaluation and talent development, is, I mean, just we can go back to the '90s. Rasheed Wallace, right? We can stop Ben Wallace. These are guys that went on to win a championship.
Rip Hamilton.
Rip Hamilton. That's the whole damn Wizard squad.
Mitch Richmond left hand got a championship.
Culture.
Yeah,
Culture.
he got a championship restuffing the seats on the bench. He didn't do anything. Let's not pretend like he was an intricate part of that championship.
I get what you're saying. And
he had purple and gold paint repainting the cheers on the side.
When that video surfaced of Chris Webber and Rasheed Wallace going at it in practice, and I sat there and I thought about that, and I said, okay, granted you traded Rasheed Wallace and you got Rod Strickland back, but imagine getting the point guard that you needed and still keeping those guys together. I always said that if I was going to trade anybody between Rasheed, C-Web, and Jawan would have to go. And I love the Fab Five. Don't you start me tonight, Ben. We not rehashing that. But I love the Fab Five, but Chris Webber and Jalen Rose always were my favorite. And Chris Webber just couldn't get it right here. And it really wasn't his fault, but I think West pulled the trigger too fast.
And I was just about to say, you had an old school GM that was not about the games in West. And the cleaner cut out of that group was Jawan. Jawan was the cleaner cut guy, good, well-spoken, everything. Your bad boy is Chris Webber, and he got shipped out, and it's just, rest his soul, it was a bad decision. It was a bad decision. You got locked up in that contract with Jawan, and one of the better things Jordan did was get out of that contract and get him out of here.
That's how you were able to sign Gilbert. That's how you were able to sign Antoine Jameson, Karan Butler. That's how all those guys came.
Look, Gilbert was a loophole. Gilbert played his rookie year and ended up being an unrestricted free agent after that. So, which was unheard of. He ended up making more money on his first deal, his first real deal with the Wizards, than some guys made coming out in his draft class. Like Gil really said, like there's a for NBA contract, Gilbert Arenas set like a milestone on the plateau, and like this, I think there's like a Gilbert Arenas rule now in place because of his deal.
I need to look that up. I would like to do some research on that. I never knew.
Yeah,
that.
he was either an unrestricted or restricted free agent with Golden State after like his first or second year, because Gil messed up his draft position just by being a jerk in the whole process.
Yeah, because and what was that rookie symposium? He said he wanted to be a pimp. He came to his workout and Chucks and was like, "I'm not running. I'm not greasing my trucks."
Yeah.
It seemed like he wasn't about to work. So
he was about to work. He just didn't want to do it for free.
I can respect that. When you're good at something, don't do it for free. So, fellas, we have went over the allotted time, so we're gonna get up out of here. Yeah, we do. Come back, do it again on Thursday for the Thursday night throwdown. So that's the boss BJ. That's the Midnight Rider Ben. I'm the big guy KG. Lady C, Delonte, Jim, Junie, everybody on special assignment tonight. They'll all be somewhere around soon. So until next time, we don't do no overtime. We are out of here.
Peace.